What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. I know we told you we're going to do a second half preview for this one. Me and James completely forgot we already did that. I think once the Mets hit 81, 82 games played in the season, I'm almost 99% sure we did the second half preview already. So it'd be really redundant and honestly a little bit weird for us to go through and do that all over again. That being said, we're going to talk about the Mets still. We're going to talk about David Wright retirement. We're going to talk about a little bit of a leak that came out. Shout out MLB for a little bit of David Wright leak. We got some media Marvel things to go over. And of course, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Reds series coming up this weekend. Guys, before we do get going into it, make sure you're following us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel. This is a call out. Subscribe. I want to see 11,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We could do it. 500 of you are not subscribed that are listening to us or watching us on YouTube right now. Hit that subscribe button. Join up. We do appreciate it. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Yeah, we kind of made this a little bit of a audible here last second before we started here, James. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to lead off this podcast?
I still think in general, it's nice to take this step back frame. Again, 2.5 weeks ago, we did do here's where the Mets are halfway point of the season. We did that kind of just be different because not a lot of other people were doing halfway stuff because that was the actual halfway point. There's now actually the beginning of the second half. We just had the All-Star break. We just watched the Home Run Derby and All-Star game. But this is proverbially, we are now actually entering the second half of the season. There is a shift. The momentum has stopped for every team in the league. We're about to restart all of it. This is the first time in the whole baseball season where you can actually take a step back, take a breath, really think about these things now that we've gone a few days without the Mets being on television. So I think it is still a fair time to kind of take stock of who this team is, where they are, and where we hope they get to.
Yeah, so if we look at the standings right now, the Mets are, I don't even know how this happens at the All-Star break, how the Mets have played one less game than the Phillies, which kind of does
random scheduling. That one game makes sense, but some of the teams that have played four different, different by four, that's crazy.
Even objectively speaking, how are we all not playing the same amount of games at this point in the season to the All-Star break? I guess rainouts, maybe that's the case, but anyway, we are half a game back in the division, 55-42. The Phillies are 55-41. We are 2.5 games up of the last wild card spot, so technically the Mets are in the playoffs right now. Look at the run differential, plus 45. Mets, despite having offensive issues, still kind of have one of the better half of the league offenses in terms of runs scored. The pitching, while it has cooled off a little bit, still weirdly one of the better pitching staffs statistically in baseball to this point in the season. Now, of course, we know that might not be sustainable, especially with how the bullpen's been looking, but the Mets are in a completely fine spot. And especially because the Mets play games at home, especially this upcoming weekend, we know the Mets are even feeling better because at home they're 33-14. On the road, 22-28. My favorite stat, because everybody likes to talk about how the Mets haven't played a real schedule this year. The Mets simply have one of the best records in Major League Baseball against teams over 500 at 25-19. There are not many teams that are even over that 500 mark against teams over 500.
Who could ever say a team doesn't play a real schedule? It's baseball. Every team plays the same amount of times.
James, there's people inside this own fan base that still don't think Juan Soto is having a good year because he's hitting 260. So we know that there are people that exist in this world that maybe don't think rationally, think with their head, a little bit more thinking with their heart. This team is very good, and everybody plays everybody, and the Mets have beaten good teams. They play down to competition. They need to play better, though, in the second half. They started off so incredibly strong and kind of petered out a little bit at the end. I think they finished around 500 for the last month or so. I don't think that's the team that they are, though. I do think they're more like the team at the start of the year rather than how we saw them close out the first half.
This is what I was talking about at the top of the show, where it's this is an honest time to take a step back and actually look, because this is the longest we've gone without watching the Mets in months.
I'm feeling withdrawal. I'm we were talking before this. I'm there's no game tomorrow, as in Thursday. I'm what am I going to do? I've had a full 48 hours of no baseball. It feels insane.
I got nothing to do tomorrow. I think I might take the train to Rockaway just for the whole day, just lay down like a lizard on the beach. But I think this team is honestly somewhere between where they were in the beginning and where they were right now. There's obviously some holes to plug up. We've gotten some reports coming out the last few days. Mark Healy talked about it. Bob Nightingale talked about it. The fact that don't expect the Mets to make a huge move, which is exactly what insider Robert Murray told us about last weekend. If you guys listen to that episode, if not, definitely listen up. Some great insights on how this trade deadline is going to go in Major League Baseball. But we're probably going to just wind up making lots of small moves for relievers. Probably some relievers that even we're not mentioning, even we're not thinking about right now, because that's just what David Stearns does every trade deadline. And then maybe there's the appetite for a right-handed power bat. But I also think that again, since we spoke with you guys over the last month about this team this season, taking a real like wide big picture look at it, I think there's growing confidence internally about the players that both Brett Baty, Ron, and Mauricio are, and there's forced hope in the player that Mark Vientos can be. And I think that the Mets' best case scenario through the second half of the season is for all three of those players to get as many possible chances as they can to assert themselves, be successful, confident major league players, and one of them being the third baseman just in perpetuity as we move through the whole second half.
Yeah, let whoever is playing better win that competition. I agree. Like, give these guys their chances. They've had half a season so far. Weirdly, they're all still kind of relatively around each other hitting-wise. I think Mauricio has really separated himself recently because we're starting to see a more patient approach. He's hitting the ball so damn hard. He's someone who I think in the clubhouse, at least between me and you, he's a guy that we want playing almost every single day at this point, or in the situations that he is where he's kind of now, again, the Jesse Winker role because Jesse Winker's on the IL with that back injury. But between Mark Vientos, Brett Baty, Ronnie Mauricio, and even Luis Angel Acuna, who is still on this roster, there's going to be some shuffling around. I think whoever ends up taking this role, taking this spot, producing, that's the guy who you have to continue to play. And that might not be Mark Vientos. That might not be Luis Angel Acuna like we saw in the first half with his struggles. It might not be Brett Baty. It could be someone that we're not expecting. Whatever it is, I think and I hope that the Mets do just kind of roll with the hot hand and not force guys to be in the lineup because they're on the roster.
And a lot of things can still change in the 2 weeks that we still have until the trade deadline. Like this league, this team, this game does move very quickly. Like a lot can still happen. Another thing I'm excited to happen right after the All-Star break, we are going to get Francisco Alvarez back. I'm assuming we'll get that notification, that update just for Friday's game. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would think
makes sense.
Because that's also the time, right, to get the extra year of service conveniently?
Yep. I think actually Saturday or Sunday it was conveniently. So we got the extra year of service time from Francisco Alvarez. You know, I'm still waiting on that extension Hector Gomez promised us that he signed. Had he signed years and years ago, but
I think 8 for 80?
Yeah, something like that. I do think that is going to be another big story for this team in the second half because something this Mets team has kind of over most of the other teams in baseball, which is kind of funny to say at this point, but this team is homegrown as fuck.
Really?
Like when Francisco Alvarez is in this lineup, that means every single day we will have 7 homegrown players in the lineup. On most days, it'll be Nimmo, Alonso, McNeil, Vientos, Mauricio, Francisco Alvarez, Brett Baty. The only 2 non-homegrown guys are the 2 superstars, Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, and that is literally the exact recipe that was outlined for us. That was outlined for us with David Stearns, with Steve Cohen, that we've outlined back to you guys. Like that's kind of the plan. That's the way to build the most successful team possible. You bring up your guys who are good, solid ball players, and you supplement that with the superstars when the money and all the value lines up. And that's what this team has done. So I think that. Said it before, I'll say it again. 2 of those guys just have to be dudes.
Yes.
Alvarez, Baty, Mauricio, Vientos. 2 of those guys have to start pulling a little bit more of their weight, becoming plus major league hitters, play adequate defense, be guys who are in this lineup every single day, and we feel really, really good about.
I also think, too, that Alvarez's return, along with maybe Jeff McNeil getting more consistent playing time, because, again, he is still playing such good baseball, that this is also going to help guys like Tyrone Taylor and Luis Torrens return back to form a little bit, too. Like, it's obvious Tyrone cannot be playing every single day. Defensively, he's phenomenal. He can play center field defensively every single day, but he does have to take swings at the plate. And it's been a bad offensive season for Tyrone. The OPS is hovering right around 600. And same thing for Luis Torrens. Once he got pretty much the everyday role, we saw the offense completely tank. It's hard. These guys are not fresh. These are guys who are not used to playing every single day. I think by their role being limited a little bit, we might actually see those spark plugs, those little blips of success coming back from guys like Torrens and Tyrone Taylor too at the plate.
And at this point, I will say, if there's a surprise trade for this Mets team, if there's a spot to upgrade, it still is center field.
Always is.
Like, if something happens with this team that, again, we're not expecting before the trade deadline, by what I mean by not expecting is that an actual big trade being made, not minor pieces for a middle reliever. Like, I think that's exactly where we're going to be shopping. It would be center field. Like, I still probably don't think it's Luis Robert, but thinking about David Stearns, like that is the time that he would jump on a guy like Luis Robert when the value is at its lowest, and there are underlying things that make sense, and he still plays a great defensive center field. I know 90% of you just are cursing me off right now in your car and your headphones. I said that. 10% of you are like, I'd kind of like to see what that looks like. It's at least worst case scenario, the possibility of an ace in the hole, or it's kind of like a deuce, but a deuce could be wild. But
at the worst case, he's Tyrone Taylor.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no matter what, you have Tyrone Taylor, so you can just get another Tyrone Taylor. It's not like we have Jose Siri anyway. So
Is he coming back? Is he ever coming back?
I haven't heard shit. No one said anything. There was a setback with the leg. I don't know. Also, whose roster spot does he take right now anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's Acuna probably gets sent down. I think that's probably what that move would end up being.
Or Acuna gets traded again, or Jerry Young gets sent down. Of course, then you lose the other lefty bat.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who do you think of the young guys? Because it's going to be one of them if there is a trade, I think. I think they're looking to either move one of Mauricio, Baty, Vientos, Acuna. Which one of those do you think is most likely to get traded? Which one do you think the Mets are like untouchable right now? Or is there even a guy that you think is untouchable for them?
I think they might see both. I think untouchable is the wrong word. I think that it would be much harder for David Stearns to move either Baty or Mauricio, because I think Baty and Mauricio are too important to this team right now. And
I agree with you.
Baty and Mauricio are both well-rounded players. Like Baty and Mauricio both play both sides of the ball well enough, and you can see the projection on both of them. I think David Stearns would love to trade Mark Vientos, but I don't think anyone's going to trade for Mark Vientos. I don't know how much sense it makes for the team. I know Robert Murray told us that like a team would love to have a guy like Vientos. I don't see what team that lines up for right now.
Maybe the White Sox play first base.
I guess play first base in the White Sox. Who do you get back? And just one of the relievers? Cam Boozer?
Yeah, I guess. Or it's just like Vientos and like.
Do you feel okay with that? Would you feel okay with trading Vientos for a middle reliever?
No, I wouldn't. But I would feel much better in a package for Luis Robert if Vientos was a part of that package.
Sure, but what kind of package does Luis Robert dictate at the moment?
Mark Vientos and Jeremy Rodriguez. I don't know. I would make that trade right now.
I think that they're dying to trade Acuna. Again, like we talked about last episode, 2 episodes ago, how the Mets can thread the needle by trading Acuna, where a team can keep him on the Major League roster for the rest of the season, preserve that option year, send him back down, and do the full season in minor leagues next year. Like that would be a fun option. So I do think that there's something there, but I just think that there's going to be more work on the edges being done with this team. I think another huge story of the second half is going to be whichever opportunity comes first, whether it be for Brandon Sproat or Nolan McLean. Yeah. So I think that with the 5-man rotation right now, with now Manaea's back, Clay Holmes is going to be a 75 to 90 pitch guy the rest of the second half. We'd prefer Senga to pitch every 6th day rather than every 5th day. It makes sense for a 6th starter to join this rotation. And it doesn't seem like that will be Tyler McGill anytime soon. It also does not seem like that'll be Paul Blackburn anytime soon. So at this point, it would make sense that person would be either Nolan McLean or Brandon Sproat or Blade Tidwell. So it just depends when the Mets are willing to actually make that happen.
Hey, have you heard of Built? No? Do you pay rent? Yes? Okay, good. Let's talk. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. When you pay rent through Built, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month. No matter where you live or where your landlord is, your rent now works for you, and you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Built's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, and much more. Unique experiences that only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so that they know we sent you.
My bad take is I think they're going to give Blade one more chance through that rotation before they even consider McLean or Sproat, even though I think me and you both agree, and I think a lot of Mets fans, and I bet you even David Stearns thinks this, because he should, that those guys give the Mets a better chance to win right now than Blade Tidwell does, and that's not a detriment to Blade. That's more of a positive to Sproat and McLean. But just because they are using Tidwell's option already this year, the fact that they sent him up and down, I feel like they're still going to give him at least one more shot. Wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 through the rotation if they do go to a 6-man.
Definitely. And I think that
even he piggybacks off of Clay Holmes, like one of those like 75 pitch starts that they might have like penciled in. Clay Holmes only goes 75 today, Blade Tidwell for the next couple.
Or even piggybacks off Sean Manaea, because Sean Manaea is still someone that is working up. He only threw 60 pitches in the last outing, so we probably can't expect 100 in his first start off the break. The Mets are also, we haven't announced our pitchers yet as we come out of the break. The Reds have their guys set, but we do not have ours. And the Mets do play 6 games in 6 days coming out of the break. So at some point in those 6 days, if they're going to do 6-man rotation and keep Senga on the days that they want to keep him on, that will change this whole situation again.
It's an interesting scenario because the whole Senga and Clay Holmes and Minaya being on these weird little pitch things are crazy.
We're a very weird good team. Like,
yes.
We know we're good and there's a lot of good players, but a lot of this is being carried by like the guys at the top of both. Like literally, it's one of the best relievers in the league. It's a solid starting rotation with a solid floor, but then the floor kind of drops out to a certain degree, and then 4-5 hitters in our lineup. Then it's like, oh, something else has to happen here. I'm doing a big article for Roto World that's coming out when you guys listening to this Thursday, but all the pitchers in the league could have innings limits, and 2 of the Mets were on there. I think Kodai Senga probably avoided an innings limit because of the month he missed with the hamstring, but I do still think we're going to be pretty careful with him. And Clay Holmes, like Mendoza's basically all but said we're going to get 70 to 90 pitch spurts the entire rest of the season. So that being said, it even is still hard to do a 6-starter just because that's extra work the bullpen's going to have to be doing every single day that Clay Holmes pitches. It's really
especially because Clay Holmes walks guys and isn't necessarily like super efficient with his pitch count at all times. So 70 pitches, some games could be 4 innings. And that's
it hasn't really been yet, luckily.
Yes, but it does put a lot of pressure and more innings on this bullpen, which we're really trying to limit because we saw as they got used more and more as the year goes on. Definitely not as good as they were at the start.
No, and that's definitely the place that, like, obviously there's going to be some reinforcements coming. I think we'd leave the trade deadline with 2 relievers, for sure.
Yeah, I'll be quite upset if the Mets don't go out and go get some relievers that are better quality than what we have right now. I've been seeing the rumor that David Robertson and the Mets are talking again, which if the thing that always freaked me out about Robertson is why isn't he pitching? Why is nobody after him? He was great last year. He's been great, like for the last 3 years now. Why was he not on a team? Why was he not pitching? He might be pricing himself out. He might only have a few teams that he even wants to play for. He's older. We know through our experience in spring training, the guy loves his family. He spends an insane amount of time with his kids, which is awesome. Shout out great dads. But like, maybe that's the case. That was the only thing that ever scared me about him. If he's healthy and good, I would love David Robertson back in this bullpen. That guy is also a lefty killer because that cutter completely neutralized him. That's been his bread and butter since he's been a major league pitcher.
Will Salmon did report this week that the Mets and the Yankees and some other teams that are contending reportedly were interested in looking into David Robertson. And now David Robertson reportedly is going to throw in front of some of these teams soon. And I think it was mostly the second thing that you talked about, that David Robertson is only willing to pitch for a few teams because why would David Robertson, I think he's 40 now, 39, 40, around
there. Late 30s, early 40.
Well, I don't want to go to spring training. If I'm 40 and I'm David Robertson, I don't want to even risk signing for a team that might suck because then, like, a situation with the Mets, that's saying the Mets traded him a few years ago. That might be a sour taste in his mouth too, or it might be like, sorry, honestly, like we sucked. We thought we were going to be good. We wound up sucking. Wanted to get you to a playoff push. I don't even want to risk not being on a playoff push in the city I actually want to live in if I'm David Robertson. So if he just wants
in Miami.
That's what I'm saying. If he just wants to pitch 20 innings at the end of the year with the contender of his choosing for a few $100,000, like that's what's the problem with that? That's not a bad situation for him. I also just a guy that old who hasn't pitched all season. I don't know which David Robertson I'm expecting to get at this point in the season. Like I don't know if you can really count on, again, 40-year-old David Robertson who hasn't pitched competitively in almost a calendar year to walk into the back end of a bullpen and be like an actual true setup guy.
Can I throw a name at you for a reliever? I think I've done it before, but maybe just in a different context now. Does Kyle Finnegan have any interest? The Nationals got to be moving on from him. Is he someone who you would trust to pitch a 7th or 8th inning for the Mets in big games by any chance?
I would. Finnegan's a good reliever. He's not a great reliever, but he's a reliever that you're just not getting that many strikeouts from Kyle Finnegan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Kyle Finnegan's I think Kyle Finnegan's the opposite kind of reliever that David Stearns chops for. Okay. Kyle Finnegan, you're buying previous saves rather than like future performance. But again, maybe there's something about also like, yeah, if I'm going to get like an experienced reliever that's not great, I'd rather get one that's actually battle tested. Like Kyle Finnegan
pitched in big games.
Like as many years as Kyle Finnegan's pitched and closed for this national team, they've never been good. So it's like there actually hasn't ever been any pressure, any like huge moments. Like I think the big moment into the field, like I don't know, and like we're still getting to the spot where we don't know who is selling, and that's the most fascinating part of this trade deadline. There are so many teams that are trapped in the middle. We don't know what they're going to do. Like the Red Sox were a seller, now they just ripped off a 10-game win streak. The Orioles are like almost 10 games over 500 since the beginning of June. Like I think they're going to sell, but I also think they want pieces for next year. The Twins suck.
Stink.
But they're too good to sell, I think, because you only really have to win 85 games to reach the playoffs in the American League. If the Guardians want to sell off some of the pieces in their bullpen, I think that'd be super interesting. But we're not getting Class A, and then after that, it's like you're getting guys with some team control. So I don't know how much you're paying for relief for a team control. Like maybe you can sneak your way into this. Just say I don't even know who we're going to get. Like Cade Smith's one of the best relievers in baseball.
Yeah,
You're not
not
getting
touching it.
him. Hunter Gaddis is also one of the best relievers in baseball. Both of those guys 1 year service time. You're not close to getting them. Like you could get Jacob Junis, who's playing on like a $2 million deal, but I don't even think he's been that effective.
How much better is he than like just giving Huascar Brazoban the keys for like the 7th inning or something like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's very hard to find the obvious answer for bullpen before we have obvious sellers. Like, the Diamondbacks are the one team that teams are really interested. Like, yeah, hopefully these teams sell. There's a lot of talent. None of the talent's in their fucking bullpen. Besides Kevin Ginkel.
How worried do you think they were when Eugenio Suarez got hit in the hand last night?
I like there was like 10 different fan bases that went fuck the second he got plunked by Shane Smith in the All-Star game. But it's just there's something. This market is so weird, and again, it's obviously going to be us going for relievers. And I trust that David Stearns is working those phones. And you know what? He made a great trade to Peter Bendix last year. I'm sure that's a place that we go first. That Marlins bullpen actually has tons of interesting guys. I'd love to get my hands on Anthony Bender, Ronnie Henriquez. Those are two. I'll put this word out there. Those are two great relievers. I really think so.
The James Shiano stamp of greatness.
Those are two awesome relievers. And then, I mean, Luke Batcher is not horrible.
Lake Batcher.
I thought it was Luke Backer.
No, Backer. He was a football player that became a baseball player, which is even crazier because he's 30 and he has no service time at all. So that he is the Huascar Brazoban of this year, if I've ever seen one. A 30-year-old who's kind of just getting started, and he'll never get to decide what team he plays for or how much money he makes.
Somehow, Ronnie Henriquez has 0 minor league options, but only a 10th of a year of service time.
What?
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he's been in professional baseball since 2017.
Now he just got good. He's weird. But again, those are fucking good relievers. I think that's where you start to shop. But it's just nothing is really obvious right now, which is good. That's not obvious to us because we're not in charge of the New York Mets.
Oh,
so that's
super
a good thing.
Good. Yeah.
So I'm very confident David Stearns is actively identifying these relievers to get. Because I think that is going to really determine this entire roundabout conversation. What happened to the Mets in the second half? How many relievers can you add to this bullpen at the trade deadline? And whether or not you get one of these minor league pitchers to become like a real 6th starter for us down the stretch.
Last thing I mentioned before. Oh, go.
I was going to say also the time is still running out to get these guys up because you have to get their feet wet sooner rather than later because they can't debut in September in Philadelphia. You can't. No. That can't happen. You have to pitch in August against the Nationals to pitch in September in Philadelphia. Like you have to work your way up to these roles. So I really do hope that that's something that is in consideration. If it's in consideration at all, maybe they're just not expecting them to pitch this season.
Yeah, because right now looking at this bullpen, it's Edwin Diaz, Reed Garrett, and Brazoban. I think are not going anywhere. I think those are 3 guys that are a part of this bullpen to the end of the year, barring anything crazy, right? And then like I don't think Stanik's job's guaranteed by any means. Right?
No, definitely not. You could definitely not guaranteed.
Davinsky's working his way into it. He might pitch some big innings. He might be a guy that rises into pitching some bigger innings, but he's by no means guaranteed either. He has a bad week, he's gone.
He's the Maton. He's not gone, but he's afforded himself some time now. But he's the Maton. He's a guy who I hope gets us there, but I don't expect him to be a guy to be with us when we are there.
And then we have the 3, and this is again part of the glob of chaos here, where it's like Richard Lovelady, Alex Carrillo, and Brandon Waddell. And as much as we like Carrillo's stuff, we kind of just don't really know what's going on there. And Waddell and Lovelady, I don't think those are really capable guys to be getting out on this team, big moments down the stretch. That being said, we do have a lefty reliever coming back relatively soon as well in Brooks Raley. And if he has the velos that we've been seeing, a guy who can get back to being that like low to mid 90s range, Brooks Raley was so fucking good for this team a couple years ago before the injury. If he can come back and be any sort of effective, that will change how this bullpen looks a ton as well.
Yes, and after the 6 games in 6 days coming out of the break, we basically have an off day every single week for like 5 straight weeks. We have 3 straight Thursdays off. We have a few Mondays off. Like until we get to later on in August, and we have that it's the 4-game series against the Braves, the Phillies. Until we get down to there, we have a 3-game series at home against the Braves, and then we have another off day after that, actually. So we do most of the way through August, we have off days. So there is some time to figure this out somewhat, where we will have some rest built into the schedule. We don't exactly need a 6 starter, but there's some room to work with.
We also forgot that Budo's been out for like a week plus 2 with being sick.
He's going to be activated, I think, because he made some rehab. I think he pitched in the complex like this week. I think he's ready to come back the second as possible.
And he did look great, though, in his most recent outing. So that's also massive for this bullpen, is getting that guy back. Brooks Raley would be huge. I don't think AJ Minter's pitching again this year, but if for some reason he were to come back late in the season, that'd be great. Like the Mets definitely have had some injuries to this bullpen. So I trust David Stearns to make the right decisions, but I will say, and James said too, I do think Mets fans are going to be super, super, super disappointed with what this deadline looks like, sadly.
There's almost no chance that we have the big splash deadline. And we're going to watch the Phillies probably get like Griffin Jacks or Emmanuel Clase.
Juan Duran.
Yeah, like we're going to see the Phillies get probably the biggest impact reliever that moves the deadline.
And they might also get Jarren Duran.
I think that's the way to tie the bow in this conversation is that while we are very confident in this Mets team, the Phillies are fucking sick.
Well, they're going for it. I'm not going to say they're fucking sick. I'm not going there.
They are sick. They're a sick team. They're an awesome, awesome team. They have
get off your fucking Philly high horse here. Hold the phone a second. Their bullpen is legitimate
horrible.
Hot fucking garbage. They're starting pitching.
They're going to figure it out.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Dombrowski's a lunatic. He doesn't go into trade deadlines ready to lose. Like he goes into trade deadlines ready to do whatever he can.
And while you say that, their offense is still kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. You're not wrong.
It's Schwarber, Harper, Trey Turner. Otherwise, they're getting nothing from any of those other players. Nothing at all. So
I mean, Bohm also has like a 750 OPS for 2.5 months. Trey Turner's gone cold since he had a really hot May. Like Bryson Stott has been.
That's what I'm saying. I think
they're
you see
not
their starting pitching. You see their starting pitching, and it's by far the best. I'll get hands down. It's the best.
I think it's by far the best in baseball. I think. Truthfully. I think 1 through 5 they are absolutely impenetrable.
But we know modern baseball. You still got 4 more innings sometimes in these games.
Oh, I'm not saying that we can't again go head to head possibly with this team and beat them in the playoff series. What I'm saying is that in terms of winning a division, they're much better suited to do it. We need more things to break right for us to win division. They need to break right for them to win division.
This is also with assuming that they do make these big trades. If they don't make any trades
that's part of my assumption. If that doesn't happen, this assumption, all this stuff changes. But I'm assuming that Dave Dombrowski does. That's what he does. He makes big trades.
Yeah, this is the classic year where he tears down the Phillies farm system that he has built up and goes for the big guys.
Yeah, but he trades Aidan Miller for Emmanuel Clase.
And they're going to trade Alec Bohm for Eugenio Suarez. I do want that out there. That's going to be what happens. Alec Bohm plays first base for the Diamondbacks. They trade Josh Naylor to the Mariners. Just watch it all happen.
Watch it all happen? I don't think they're trading Bohm. You think they're trading Bohm?
He sucks. He's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want them to trade Bohm. I like them having Alec Bohm.
Oh, I love them having Alec Bohm too. He's a complete liability in the field, and at the plate, he's going to hit a single every once in a while. So, I love playing him, but I think there are some teams out there that will believe in. I think the Diamondbacks will be like, I'll take 3 years of Alec Bohm over 30 games of Eugenio Suarez the rest of the way.
Which is totally fine. But I just don't get mad, Mets fans, if we don't have a big trade deadline, because I'd be shocked if we do.
It's going to happen. You know.
Actually, fuck you. I get mad whatever you want.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you not to get mad. That being said, we will be annoying, and we will tell you that we told you so. So just be aware.
That part of it will be true. And then I want to do a quick Media Marvel before we do, I guess a double Media Marvel, before we do the preview of the Red Series, start talking about David Wright a little bit. That will be our transition once we get to the back end of the segment. But shout out our guys over Foul Territory. Some great content this week in Atlanta at the All-Star Game. Just a parade of players, announcers, just stars around the game. One interview stuck with me in particular, though. And I'm very happy that they posted this clip and it's gone moderately viral because it deserved to do so. John Smoltz, everybody's favorite ambassador of Major League Baseball.
Loves baseball.
The guy loves the modern game so much. You just really can't get enough of the game that he's paid to cover and the game that he was amazing at, that made him the man he is. So I'm going to pipe in the clip right now. You guys listen to what John Smoltz said about the state of pitching and just pitchers in modern baseball.
Mark my words, I'll give it 3 years. When the generational 3-year pitchers, the great guys that we know are going to call it career here in the next 3 years, you're never going to see them again. The Verlanders, the Kershaws, Adam Wainwright just retired. You're never going to see Charlie Morton. You're never going to see Zach Wheeler. Like that to me should be the narrative that organizations are going, man, we got to find a way to reverse this narrative because that commodity is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and we're going to have to replace it more and more.
Yeah. No generational pitch is. I'm going to be annoying and be devil's advocate for a second. Is there a chance he means there's no generational pitchers because we know that Kershaw and Scherzer and Verlander are lock first ballot Hall of Famers? Could that have been what he meant? Or do you think that he actually means that, we're never going to see guys like this ever again? Because that's factually wrong. That is objectively wrong right now.
Two sides of the same coin of what you're saying. I think that it's kind of like the broken clock being right twice a day.
Mm.
I think what you're saying is true. I don't know if we're ever going to see pitchers again like I was about to say Verlander and Kershaw and Scherzer, because those are three of the most accomplished pitchers in the history of baseball.
Yeah.
Like, they really are, legitimately. Like, you could talk about eras, you could talk about generations, you could talk about complete game shutouts. Like, back in my day, they used to throw 9 every single start. No, like, those three guys that we got to watch through, like, us growing up, whereas those are special dudes. Like, I was watching last week, 2 weeks ago, Clayton Kershaw got the 3,000 strikeout. Like, I got emotional. I don't even like the Dodgers. I hate the Dodgers. I don't even like Clayton Kershaw. But, like, I remember some great nights of watching those 10 o'clock games with my buddies in college, like catching a Kershaw start, listening to Vince Scully. Like, that's real shit. Like, Max Scherzer was the man. Verlander is the man. Like, that was those are special pitchers. DeGrom's not even in their categories, though, because I think something that Smoltz was like what he was getting at is an old baseball adage that, like, and I talk to my dad about this all the time, that in baseball, the lore used to come from your volume. Volume used to be the thing that was like the coolest thing about like what a player did in their careers.
Pete Rose.
The accumulation of stats, like being out there for 20 fucking years and being good for 18 of them. I think that part of baseball is gone. Kind of. I do. Like, we're just in a spot right now where we know too much.
There's a different appreciation.
We know that young players are more productive and better values than old players. Like Foolish Baseball, great video a few weeks ago. There's no more old players because the teams just know that the old players are much too expensive for the production they deliver. That's true.
JD Martinez played in 1970. JD Martinez would be hitting DH for whatever team he's playing for. I know they didn't have the DH
and
then.
Cleanup.
Yeah, and hitting cleanup until the day that he chooses he no longer wants to play baseball.
And I think that's part of it. Now, that did bring more magical moments and magical kinds of seasons from guys that we know, like, care about, like, watching, respect, and all that. But then when Smoltz continued the diatribe and he started talking about Charlie Morton and Adam Wainwright is when I started to take offense with this comment, saying there were going to be no more generational pitchers. Now what John Smoltz is talking about are just simply old guys. Yeah. And again, we just started talking about that Foolish Baseball video, but old guys who are good. And that's Adam Wainwright for most of his career was just quite a good pitcher. Yeah. Charlie Morton didn't even get good till he was 34 years old. Like, I think that's part of it. John Smoltz wants to see more 40-year-olds pitching because he was a very good 40-year-old playing baseball. That is part of this. But to say that we're not seeing more generational players is fucking ridiculous. Pitchers. That is such an insane comment because we have one happening right now. Paul Skeens has had the best start to a career basically of any pitcher ever. History of baseball. 23 years old, started the All-Star game twice. Career ERA is under 1 to over 250 innings pitched. Like, that's as generational start of a career as it gets. I understand we can't project 20 years of Paul Skeens' career, but like, why tear down the players of the game that you cover, John Smoltz?
Yeah, I mean, even think about some of the older guys that are around right now, and this is gonna really sound insane, but like, I feel like we got to start talking about Zach Wheeler in these conversations as well. Hate to be glazing Philly here. But we're going on what? Like 8 years in a row of Zach Wheeler being one of the best, if not the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. He throws 200 innings every single year since he had those injuries early on in his career. Similarly to Max Scherzer and these other guys, he blossomed at like 27, 28 years old. Scherzer took a long time to figure it out. I feel like Zach Wheeler, as much as I hate the fucking Phillies so much, and Brody Van Wagenen will always have a special place in hell whenever that happens. Like, fucking can't believe he didn't sign Zach Wheeler. But, like, he's kind of fucking unbelievable. He's ridiculously good. Looking at him as a pitcher is like, sure, he's not Verlander Kershaw. I totally understand that.
Not many players ever have been.
Yeah, that's why they're, like, some of the greatest to ever do it. But I don't think that the word generational gets used properly. I think sometimes we throw it around too much. I think sometimes we covet it too much. Like Zach Wheeler, looking back, talking to our kids about baseball, you can't mention the late 2010s to 2020s without being like Zach Wheeler was like the most dominant pitcher in the game.
Well, again, there's two parts of it. And that's why, again, the way I started this conversation is that Wheeler will never have the volume that those guys had.
Yes.
Like, Wheeler's not going to sniff 300 wins.
No.
Wheeler actually does have the most outside shot for 3,000 strikeouts, but he'd have to do like a Scherzer 35 to 41 kind of run.
And we also heard that he said when his Phillies contract's up in 2028, that
offseason,
he's retiring. He's done. He's like, I made enough money, which must be fucking nice.
And we also know a lot about when Zach Wheeler chose to go to the Phillies instead of the Mets. He didn't want to move, and he lived in Jersey. And then him and his wife didn't want to go anywhere, so he was like, these are the only teams they even will sign for. So even less competition the Mets actually had to deal with to re-sign a guy who became a quasi-generational pitcher. You want to know something else crazy about Zach Wheeler?
I do.
At the time of recording this right now, Wednesday, July 16th, 9:22 p.m., Zach Wheeler and Jacob deGrom have the exact same number of strikeouts in their career.
That's crazy.
1,779. And
That's
something else
insane.
crazy about Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler is like a year and a half younger than Clayton Kershaw.
What?
Clayton Kershaw's 37 years old. Zach Wheeler's 35.
Ooh, that was like a heat check right there. That would make me feel ill.
Chris Sale is 1 year older than Zach Wheeler, and Zach Wheeler's older than Garrett Cole.
Huh.
But there's a chance that very easily, and again, very easily, based on the way that these guys have pitched recently, and again, knocking out wood that Garrett Cole can come back from his injury and be Tommy John's tough thing at that age. The way that Chris Sale's pitched for the last 2 years, the way Garrett Cole's pitched for the last 2 years, the way Jacob deGrom's pitching right now, the way Zach Wheeler's pitched for the last 5 years, those guys can become the next iteration of these
100%.
generational pitchers that are the old timers in the game. After them, that's where I agree with Smoltz. That does get a little bit dicey. Nick Pivetta is in the top 30 right now in active pitcher strikeouts. Like that's not
That's crazy.
The next year, Wade Miley's 24th in active pitcher strikeouts right now. Michael Walker's 22nd. Rich Hill somehow is 20th. Kyle Gibson has the 17th most strikeouts by an active pitcher in Major League
Makes
Baseball.
me sick to my stomach.
The next generation of pitchers, we don't really have this in between generation. Then you kind of hope that guys like Skubal grows up to be like this level, and then Skeens 10 years down the line, we have no idea what happens in his career. But to say there's none when you have multiple other guys in the league right now, like if Chris Sale has 3 more seasons like he's had the last 2, that's another guy's going to get to 3,000 strikeouts. That's another Hall of Famer.
Smashing.
If Garrett Cole comes back, goes for 4 more years, again, that's another guy who's a clear Hall of Famer if he does 4 more years after the surgery. Similar to the late 30s that we just saw these Scherzer, Verlander, Kershaw have. Not even Kershaw. Kershaw's only 37. Kershaw's still in his mid-30s. Verlander and Scherzer. Like that's still there. And it just comes back to the fact that for some reason, John Smoltz wants to just degrade the game that he loves every single chance he gets.
He played in the greatest era of all time. Nobody was cheating. Nobody was breaking the rules. Everybody played the game the right way, James.
Totally.
And the umpires specifically would give those Braves pitchers 2.5 feet off the plate. How could you not love? How could you not be romantic about baseball when you get everything that you could ever want?
Something amazing about Smoltz, I will give him credit. I thought that when we went to the swing off at the end of the All-Star game, he was going to be bah humbug the whole way.
Yeah.
He was having a great time. He liked as much. He was calling it history, which I think was a bridge too far.
Yeah,
but
it was crazy.
He was calling it clutch that Kyle Schwarber's hitting batting practice home runs, which again
Was
a bridge too far. But I was actually proud that John Smoltz was having fun watching that.
He's allowed to. I think he almost thinks he can't have fun because he had so much fun while he was playing that he just has to like look at what the game is now and be like, disgusting. I hate this shit.
But again, that it was funny that he pulled Charlie Morton and Adam Wainwright into that discussion.
Yeah, it was
Happy
crazy.
that he had fun and something that was objectively the most fun Major League Baseball moments we've had in like 10 years.
Oh, the All-Star game, that was an awesome All-Star game. And it also, I think, was the most viewed since 2017. 7.2 million people tuned in, which is kind of awesome for baseball. That's a big number right there. The game was awesome. Unfortunately, fucking Dave Roberts and Robert Suarez and the Padres relievers tip the cap to the Padres relievers for continuing the notion that Dave Roberts has no idea how to handle the bullpen because they all came in and all immediately shut down their leg and blew this game. And then Edwin Diaz technically got the blown save because Robert Suarez gave up the back-to-back doubles, and Edwin Diaz basically got 2 soft hit balls, but 1 run scored, so he gets the blown save, takes the MVP away from Pete. That was the worst thing about this entire thing.
I will fully, though, tip the cap to Dave Roberts for using all of the Padres overworked relievers in an All-Star game.
It was awesome from both sides. The Padres are like, we're going to fucking stink it up. You don't know how to handle the bullpen. And Dave Roberts is like, well, I'm going to keep using you. So figure it out.
Yeah.
Like he went to Randy Rodriguez. He used all the National League West guys immediately.
Yeah, and he made them all look bad, too. Again, Robert Suarez did make himself look bad. But yeah, it was a fun moment. That the swing off was really cool. Especially, I think it was nice to have that after the home run derby left everyone with a weird taste in their mouths because Cal Raleigh got to advance on like a 3/4 of an inch when I don't know if Hawkeye can actually track to the 10th to the billionth of a foot, truthfully.
Yeah, I thought that should have been a swing off as well. I don't know why we all of a sudden made it that rule. I also will say that wasn't the thing that left the worst taste in my mouth about the home run derby. The way that it's filmed and the way that it's handled, especially on the ESPN main broadcast, is such a travesty to the event. And truthfully, like the StatCast broadcast was infinitely better. They had camera angles where you could actually see the balls being hit. They were talking about the guys hitting. They were commentating. Shout out Kevin Brown, Jessica Mendoza, and Mike Petriello, our guy. Like they were actually talking about what's going on. I can't hear Eduardo Perez the gravel in his mouth, but I don't know what's going on. I'm like, come on, man. Like, talk about anything going on challenge. Please, Carl Ravitch refuses to stay on topic. You're getting interviews with guys that don't really even speak English. It was like so bizarre to me how it was being run on ESPN. And then their secondary channel just had an infinitely better broadcast. Also, with the rules, why are we making it 40 pitches and not 40 swings? I think the rule should be 40 swings. It's about the guys at the plate, right? When you make it 40 pitches, that's an unbelievable amount of pressure on these guys that are throwing BP. And the competition is not about who can throw the best BP. The competition should be about the Major League Baseball players who can hit the most home runs.
I was talking to my buddy Luke, because we both placed a responsible wager, and you as well, and Junior Caminero to win the home run derby, which was crushing the way the whole thing ended. But we basically got to the point logically where it made this bet is more about the pitcher than the hitter, because that's for you have to be able to consistently throw good pitches. Like I don't know, like everyone gave Jazz Chisholm a lot of shit for his 3 home runs. His pitcher was terrible.
This guy was throwing fucking cutters.
He was getting junk. He was getting balls at his knees. Again, like that's kind of what this comes down to year after year. I think the last year that Pete lost, like he was also getting junk, like because that wasn't Dave Joust anymore. But it's weird
and
what
Cal Raleigh's dad was fucking locked in.
Perfect,
that was
every single one.
Listen, dads always throw the best BP. Cal Raleigh's dad.
Same with Caminero's guy.
Yeah. Oh, he was locked in too. Yeah. It wasn't Cal Raleigh literally hit 17 homers or 15 homers of 27 pitches, which is an insane rate just to say out loud. People in the 3-point contest don't do that when they're shooting open threes. Like Cal Raleigh put on an unbelievable performance. I know how he got there was a little bit, smudged because of the weird technicality that he made it through on, but that was also still a great event in spite of everything ESPN did to make it terrible.
Such a fun event, but it is funny that this is like the biggest slam dunk event in sports, where it's like also every single sport really struggles with their All-Star week, because it's hard to kind of figure out like what you do with this stuff. Like football is impossible, literally impossible. Yeah. Basketball should be easy, but the players just have stopped trying at all, and they do nothing now. And then they've kind of bogged down the skills challenge, and all the other Saturday night events used to be so much fun.
Yeah, the slam dunk contest sucks now. I can't believe it. And honestly, I'll tell you this: the 3-point contest, it fucking sucks. We're watching NBA players shoot open threes and counting them to see who can make the most. I think that's so insanely boring, and everything that's wrong with the NBA. 3-pointer ruined this great game.
I feel like if the NBA was watching the swing off in the All-Star game last night, like they should just do a 1-on-1 competition.
Yeah.
Like
who's going to play hard?
Well, I know, I guess not, but you have to do something incentivized with cash. I don't know. These Major League Baseball players do get money to go to the All-Star game. I'm not sure
I think the NBA players do too. They just make $70 million now, every single one of them.
It doesn't really matter. You could, and also like hockey, you could tell me they do anything for their All-Star festivities, and I believe you. I have no fucking idea.
And it's probably awesome. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't do it this year, and they did the 4 Nations, and that was so unbelievable. Cool. That was sick.
But baseball, you can never get pitchers to actually pitch full throttle in a situation like that in season. Like I know there's something, and the home run derby again. I'll watch the home run derby every single year. I still fucking love the home run derby. It's awesome. Growing up though, that was appointment television, and maybe this is just a function of growing up. Maybe the home run derby is just less interesting at 29 years old than it was at 13 years old. That would make a lot of sense. I was also explaining this whole concept to RJ about all the All-Stars coming together for like a week-long event. And she was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this happened in England. Like, people would like laugh in your face and like, oh, all the best players come together for a week, take off." They'd be like, "Are you fucking joking?"
They play on the same team. They play against each other.
Yeah, they're like, don't they hate each other? I was like, yeah, but not really. Like, she's like stupid. But so that was another media marvel just for like everything with All-Star Weekend. Even though I think objectively it was done well.
Well, it was great. And again, that All-Star game was one of the most entertaining All-Star games I've ever watched.
All-Star game was very fun. Maybe there is something to having some slightly worse pitchers in the All-Star game, so you could actually get some more out of the hitters.
Just picking guys blindly.
Like a lot of times the hitters, especially by the time you get to the 7th, 8th inning, you're like, oh Jesus, there's no like Stephen Vogt's taking at bat right now. There's Jose Iglesias. Like I don't know what's going to happen. So it was nice that the backup hitters on both teams were quite good. And then the pitchers also, like some of these relievers kind of left a bit, like Casey Mize in the All-Star game. Like we could hit Casey Mize. Like we're good to hit Casey Mize right now. Like Adrian Morejon, like we could hit Adrian Morejon's been one of the best relievers in baseball.
Shout out David Peterson. Great inning. Shout out David Peterson.
Got Aaron Judge hit a ground ball to Francisco Lindor that was caught by Pete Alonso and Jacob Mizorowski. He threw 102 miles an hour with a 98 mile an hour slider. That's the whole reason he was there, and that was worth it. That was worth it alone.
It's the entertainment business. All right, last media marvel before we go into this Reds series preview and the DraftKings player spotlight. MLB might have leaked something pretty big going on in the Mets world. It took us about 40 minutes to get into it, but that's how this podcast works. Seems like David Wright might be handing off the captain's patch to Francisco Lindor this weekend. That video that got leaked and taken down instantly sure makes me think that Francisco Lindor is going to be named captain on Saturday. What do you think?
Oh, this is classic Mets media, Mets marketing, just wanting to, instead of like quietly naming a player captain in spring training like most other teams do and that most other teams have always done, they're going to make a huge spectacle about it, fill the ballpark, have Howie Rose in a suit and tie with a microphone talking to David Wright as he like
Master of ceremonies.
Howie Rose, the best at that in the biz, handing off the captaincy in the middle of a season to Francisco Lindor after David Wright's not been in this team for 10 years. But again, like if that's how it goes, I think that's a great way to do it. I think it's well deserved. I think it shows the fact that this Mets organization is very tightly knit. That I think that there was probably some pause for David Wright to kind of really be involved with this team, this organization again, after being forced to retire at such a young age from the injuries, the spinal stenosis, everything that went on with David Wright towards the end of his career. I'm really excited to watch the documentary on SNY because apparently it shows the depth of what he was dealing with that we've never really been exposed to before as fans. So that is a cool moment. That being said, it's just so Mets to do it like this.
Yeah, and especially for it to then get leaked
by MLB.
By MLB is even funnier. I definitely would have preferred Lindor. Lindor, captain, not the issue here. The issue is middle of the season. Like I would have just thought at the beginning of spring training next year, be like Francisco Lindor is the captain, kind of like how Jalen Brunson got it for the next year or this year. But I mean, maybe plans will change. Maybe we're reading into this too much. Maybe this was part of the marketing to make you think that this is going to happen. Maybe this is so meta that we can't even see it. They're playing us right in front of our own eyes. But it does sure feel like he's going to be named captain on Saturday, or at least they'll be like the passing of the torch next. Well, you think they announced that next season he becomes captain?
You have to wait another 6 months to actually be the captain of this team. But again, it would have made perfect sense for him to just get to spring training and be like Francisco Lindor is the captain. Also, I don't really care that much about the captain discussion because I know he's already theoretically the captain.
Correct.
All the other players consider him the captain. That's the only real thing that makes you a captain. Wearing a C does not make you a captain. No. Being recognized and known as the captain is what makes you a captain. Like that's kind of the whole point of this whole thing. So I'm blessed that we have him on this team, that he is our captain. We get to have him as our captain. And if this is the way they do it, again, this is the Met way. So it's cool they're doing it that way. I'm going to be there on Saturday. I'm very excited for this event. You're going to be there as well, I think. I'm assuming.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there. Yeah.
Train episode?
Maybe. I don't know. We got 3 episodes this week.
50-50. We'll see.
50-50.
But I just know it's going to be a packed house. It's going to be a 4:00 game. Like that's what we want for the train episodes.
I hate bringing my bag there. I love coming to the Mets game with no equipment, nothing. I just get to sit,
nothing in their pockets,
have my beer. When I'm ready to leave, I just walk out. I don't have to be like, do I have this? Do I have that?
That's true. I'm a big bag guy. I like to bring a bag everywhere I go. But I'm excited for this.
Just a great segue into the DraftKings player spotlight being Francisco Lindor. If the Mets want to continue to play good baseball, and you can kind of track the Mets record this season to Francisco Lindor's success when he's at the top of the order and he's hitting and he's playing well, and hopefully now he's a little bit more healed from that broken pinky toe. If he's playing well, the Mets are going to win baseball games. It's literally that simple. You can track it for his career as being a New York Met. When he plays good baseball, the Mets win. And with Juan Soto behind him and Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso who have all been hitting the ball really, really well this season, getting Lindor going like he was to start the season, which is a rare thing for us to say as Mets fans, it could really make the second half feel something special.
And it was cool to see him in the All-Star game and all the festivities this week. He looked like he really relished that chance. He was there with the whole family. He made a couple of really nice defensive plays in the game. And we know how much of a showman Francisco Lindor is. We know how clutch Francisco Lindor is. If this is actually a day that winds up being in his honor, piggybacking off David Wright on Saturday, I know he's going to do something big in that game.
Ooh,
I'm looking for Francisco Lindor, 2 total bases. I'm looking for Francisco Lindor maybe for a home run. Okay. I think that something good's going to happen for Francisco Lindor in that game on Saturday with all the smoke around the captaincy.
Well, you got to make a pick. So which one are you going to pick? You can't pick both. You got to pick one.
All right. Well, again, responsibly, I would sprinkle a home run and I would make the regular bet on the 2 total bases.
Classic James, always sitting on the fence. Never picks one side. He gave 2 picks. We got to give 1 pick. All right. What am I going to do for my pick this weekend? I mean, we're going up against the Reds. Oh, man, Ellie De La Cruz is probably going to attempt to steal a base, I think, at some point. But also, let's go Mets. So I don't want that. Would the fun pick be maybe under stolen bases in a game for Ellie?
Yeah, nice caught stealing. I think that'd be the fun pick, just like we got Bobby Witt last weekend.
Yeah, we did get Bobby Witt. So yeah, let's go. Let's say hot. Luis Torrens throws out Ellie De La Cruz this weekend. I don't know what game, but one of those games he's going to throw him out. Stealing, of course, guys. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, let's preview that Red Series, James. I know we don't have pitching matchups on our side just yet. Should we take a blind guess? Do we want to see who do we think starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just for fun?
It's actually a great question because I was thinking about that before we started, and I actually have no idea. I would assume that it was going to be David Peterson coming out of the break. He's been the most steady and consistent pitcher. But I think after throwing actually an inning on Tuesday, I don't think he's going to start Friday anymore, truthfully.
Yeah, he might not. I could see it being used as though a bullpen. You do throw that bullpen a couple days before you make your start. So maybe that's them looking at it as a bullpen. I don't think the Mets would have let David Peterson pitch if they felt like it was going to mess up their scheduling as well.
True, but I still think that might just give him a day because that's usually what the Mets do in these situations. But I know
so do you think Frankie fastballs Friday night?
That's what I was getting at. I think Friday night might be Frankie fastballs night. Frankie 5 innings. I think that'll be how we start the second half. And I think that's a funny way for the Mets to start the second half. And then I think we would see Peterson Saturday and then Kodai Sunday. It would be my guess. And then you save Clay Holmes and Minaya.
Who would we see on the Red side? Who's going for them?
So as the Reds have announced, Friday night will be Nick Lodolo, lefty. Saturday for the David Wright Day, 4:10. I think the Mets are telling people to be in their seats 3:15 or 3 o'clock for Howie Rose, the master of ceremonies for that one. It should be a hot day too. Make sure you guys are hydrated getting to the ballpark. Make sure you got your sunscreen ready to go for that because I remember the Keith Hernandez Day. That was the hottest thing I've ever been in my life. Like I think there was actually people who were like passing out from exhaustion in the stadium because it was so hot.
Especially because the seats are green, they just absorb all the heat. So you got a hot seat. It's going to be major swamp ass day.
And then Sunday, another lefty, Andrew Abbott, who's had a tremendous season so far, was just actually on the All-Star team. So we're going to see some of the Mets' weaknesses right away coming out of the gate. We need to hit 2 good lefty pitchers. I would actually say conservatively 2 of like the 20 best lefties in the league going right now.
Yeah, Mets have never hit Nick Lodolo. I know we've heard from Trevor May that he talked about how the Mets hitters in the past when they face Nick Lodolo are like, this is the hardest pitcher to see the ball on. We don't see him well. So that doesn't make me feel particularly great about Friday night. Andrew Abbott is more crafty than he is stuff, if I know that, right?
Kind of. I don't know. Lodolo was always more stuff than crafty, but now as he's gotten better, he's gotten more crafty. Like he's just gotten much better at mixing up his fastball and his changeup and his curveball. It's just he's got such a low arm slot. He's like a true lefty side armor. So that curveball kind of just acts like a slider, but the intention of that pitch is curveball. Abbott is probably the number one pitcher in baseball that I have a blind spot on. That I just can't figure it out. I don't know why he's good. I don't really know how he's good. Like he has a 4-seam fastball that's totally fine. He gets good vertical, like decent, adequate vertical action on that. And it comes in at 92 miles an hour. Like Andrew Abbott to me profiles as a guy that should give up so many fly balls pitching in a place like Great American Ballpark and just sit with a 4.5 ERA. But his ERA is barely over 2. His whip is right at 1 through 90 innings this year. Like I really just can't ignore him anymore. He doesn't really give up much hard contact despite everything being in the air. It's something that Hunter Green was really good at last year. So maybe the Reds have just figured out pop-ups better than every other team. I don't know how. I don't know why. It doesn't seem sustainable to me. But Abbott is... You're going to see a lot of fastballs that feel right down the middle. The Mets hitters are not going to square up, and you're going to be pissed off watching this guy pitch.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one. I don't know. This team's interesting. Their bullpen has been pretty good, considering that was something that you'd question going into the season as well. As soon as they got rid of Alexis Diaz, they kind of started pitching well out of the bullpen. R.I.P. the split Edwin-Alexis jersey, though. We're not going to see that one anymore.
Well, he's on the Dodgers, so we might see it at some point. But this Reds team also comes into the break relatively hot, mostly because they played the Rockies and the Marlins heading into the break. So they won 4 of their last 5. I mean, the Marlins are fine. They're better than the Rockies by a lot. But they won 4 of their last 5 games heading into the break, including 2 games they were losing, or at least tied late against the Rockies. They almost actually got swept by the Rockies and wound up winning 2 out of 3 games in that series. Our buddy Sammy was really kicking dirt about how bad the Reds are playing going into the break. But this is a team with a lot to play for right now. They're 4th in the NL Central, but they're not out of it in the NL wildcard race. They have a good team. They only have about 2 more years to compete while they actually have Ellie De La Cruz under contract because, like all the other owners that cry poor, Bob Castellini is the number one person who's responsible for that, and he's not going to. I'd be shocked if they signed Ellie to an extension.
I just don't think they're going to spend $400+ million on Ellie De La Cruz, which is what his price is going to be.
No, because they also still, if they get Hunter Green back, we're missing Hunter Green and Chase Burns this weekend. Hunter Green's out. Chase Burns is not going to start one of the first 3 games out of the break. 2 electric starting pitchers with Abbott and Lodolo. As far as a 1-4 with team control, like that's as good as it's going to get for a team out there. Like you should be able to put a winning team on the field with those guys as your foundation, but they have refused to spend money as they always do, and it's really just Ellie, a couple other homegrown guys, a couple other like guys on this team who they've kind of hoping to find lightning in a bottle, but it's a real chaos lineup that does, I think, drift its way into beating like the 15th best lineup in baseball, which is again good enough to win with that rotation.
The way I've described the Reds this season and coming into it was that this lineup, besides Ellie, is filled with guys that are all 90 to 110 WRC plus guys. When they're hot, they're the 110 WRC plus guys. When they're cold, they're the 90. And that's kind of what you look at with this team. Like Spencer Steer, 93 OPS plus right now. Matt McClain has been playing poorly, but he's a good baseball player. He's at 73. But
with
then you
like
have Ellie.
15 homers and 15 steals.
Yeah, then you have
McClain.
Ellie at 130. You have Austin
Sick.
Hayes, who's been smoking the ball recently, but he really does do a lot of his damage against lefties, and he's just pulling the baseball in that ballpark. It's smart. TJ Friedel, good ball player, 111 OPS plus. Like it's kind of where these guys hover. So if we get to hot Reds, they're going to score a lot of runs. These guys can get on base. They run well. They're an athletic team. If we get the cold Reds, you're going to see a lot of like the Santiago Espinal type players where you're like, oh, you're hitting second right now. Why is that?
That's because Terry Francona is the manager, and he plays baseball the old school way. I want to
3,000 wins.
Want to give Friedel some shine, like the 1 in a million player who was undrafted and made it to the major leagues, like not even the 5-round COVID draft.
Do you know the story about why he went undrafted?
I don't think so. You want to tell me?
So TJ Friedel, I think, didn't enter the draft. He didn't realize that he was eligible. So he didn't get drafted. And then I believe the Reds came to him and were like, hey, like, you can play in professional baseball. Do you want to? He was like, wait, really? Yeah, I'm in. And then they signed him and he was good. Like he was not an unheralded player. He just was not really aware of what was going on.
All-time grinder as well. And then again, I was talking about some like kind of post-type weird timing guys. Like Gavin Lux on this team. He's having a decent season. They tried to play him in left field though, and he's a bit of a catastrophe out there.
It's crazy to me how these guys who have played baseball their entire life can't catch fly balls.
I think Major League fly ball is not the easiest. And also, Gavin Lux was like a shortstop the whole time he was coming up and then moved to second. Like, I understand. It does make some sense. Like, I don't know. Let's put you a shortstop next softball game. You won't be amazing. You'll be good, but like, you won't, you know.
Yeah, and to use your favorite line, you're not Gavin Lux, dude.
No shit, that's a good point. But Spencer Steer's a guy who came into the year with a shoulder injury, really sucked in the first 2 months of the year. Has gotten hot for the last 2 months. Tyler Stevenson's a good hitting catcher, solid right there. Will Benson just gets blazing hot, then ice colds at a moment's notice. You don't know when either are going to happen.
And Jake Fraley, same way.
Jake Fraley just kind of grinds his way through and is just like a fine ball player at a big side platoon his whole career. And then Noelvi Marte, just back from injury, is heating up, was hitting really well before he got hurt. He's just absolutely so full of physical potential. I feel like he just has to wind up being a good player.
Yeah, he was. He got caught juicing last year, right? That was his thing.
Was that 2 years ago or last year? It did happen though.
I don't know, but I had a few Noelvi Marte cards, so that one really hurts me. Shout out! This is a very niche shout out here before we end the episode. Shout out my boy Chang, who used to call him Novelli Marte. Big Mariners fan. Novelli was what he called him.
And then also they still have Graham Ashcraft, who they've converted full time to being a reliever this year.
Your boy.
It's an annoying at bat. You don't know if it's going to throw you a strike, but when that color's coming at you, just at 97 miles an hour, it's definitely a scary pitch to face.
What was the favorite story of yours that nobody wanted to play catch with him because he throws too hard? I
forgot who told me this. I might have heard that in Brayson Barros, Mino Saris, or maybe one of the stories I got from Dave Bednar, like back in the day hanging out. But like no one wanted to ever have a catch with Graham Ashcraft because every time you just threw the ball, one, it came in too hard, and two, he just didn't know where the fuck it was going. So it was like no one would play catch with Graham Ashcraft, the lower minors. And then otherwise, his bullpen's like shockingly okay. Like Sam Mull's so weird. Emilio Pagan's had an amazing resurgence as their closer. Brent Suter, the legend. I know. David Stearns is kicking dirt and he can't be on this team. Taylor Rogers is still good. Your boy Tony Santillan, like Scott Bartles, like got something going on. Like it's a really strange, fine team where if you just injected $50 million worth of players into it,
be awesome.
They'd be a blatant playoff team, like right up there right now with the Brewers and the Cubs. Top of the division.
You know what they kind of sound like? Kind of sounds like the Guardians of the National League. Oh, the other Ohio team. What a shocker.
Yeah, but the Guardians are actually consistently more good than the Reds are.
Yes.
Totally.
But it's
Give
the
Guardians
same
more
thing.
credit.
It's like
Concepts.
$50 million more, and you guys probably could win a World Series one day.
Yes, literally $50 million more. It's just funny to say just $50 million, but in the parlance of Major League Baseball, that's nothing at all. And then also, a few other quick shout outs. Shout out my boy Carlos from the softball league said, "What's up?" Shout out, I think, who that mean? Someone came up to me in Williamsburg on Wednesday and said, "Loves the podcast." Paul or Ethan? I think
it's good. It's good you remembered.
I'm really sorry. I mean, I remember. I'm telling you, know who you are, but I'm sorry. I think it's Paul. I'm pretty sure it's Paul. If I had to guess right now.
What a personal interaction you had with this guy.
I said, "What's up?" I dapped him up. He'll know what he is. He was wearing a cool shirt that was a Shea Stadium giveaway like 15 years ago, which was a Geico Gecko and Mr. Met. Like that was a cool shirt. So I remember it. I'm just not a good names guy.
Do you have any shout outs? I give a shout out to Chang.
A couple shout outs.
Yeah. Shout out Chang. Shout out Frankie Peppers. I miss you, bud. Can't wait to hear from you.
Can't wait to hear from Frankie at the end of this Red Series. Frankie, if you're in the building on Saturday, say what's up to the fellas.
Also, apologies to Frankie Peppers. He was not at a Lumineers concert. He was at a K-pop concert instead.
It was a K-pop show. And again, our condolences again still with Frankie for his cat. So best of the Peppers family.
Of course. Our regards to the Peppers. That being said, it's the end of the episode. Drop a like on the video if you watched it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching over there. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Bark with a C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all on the next episode after the Red Series. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets. Shout out David Wright.